So today we're going to be looking at a really great character magician, sometimes controversial, by the name of Sylvester the Jester. All right.
What could be controversial about a human cartoon?
Indeed.
Great question. That's a good question, Aaron.
Well, let's just watch the magic. I feel like we'll see if there's controversy to be found in the magic. That'll be fun.
All right, here we go. Let's check it out and see what happens.
I think. And now, a classic. Pretty hot, huh? I'm just getting warmed up. Back to normal.
Back to normal.
Fire! Hey, wait! Quick, quick, quick! Emergency! Down the hatch. Thanks a lot, lady. Back to normal! Look. I can tell. Nut. Back to normal. Thanks a lot. You're over here. Ooh, here's a good one. This, make everything big. Look. No big? Look. No big. Look, these will just make everything big. Right here, make everything big. Whoop. That's big. Up there. Party. My latest, greatest invention. Apply thusly to the affected area. Oh, you're smart. Oh, shit. Oh, God. This is a ripoff. Back to normal. I'll be back. Ooh. Hey! E-I-O-U! And mostly, what? Back to normal! Miss Cutie! Oh, you're such a cutie, too. Oh, thank you. Hey, where you going? Come back. She loves me. That's why she gave me this great, whatever the heck it is.
That's the end, Adam.
Wow, where is one to start?
I know, right?
It's wow. How can you, for starters, before you can say anything about anything, what can you say except it's an incredibly inventive guy? I mean, regardless of your feelings about an act, it's important to recognize that the fellow has done an incredible amount of work to make just really inventive stuff. Now,
Way
that having
different
been
effects,
said,
right?
And it is exactly, that. It's a comic. It's, cartoons come to life. That is literally what it is.
Yeah, it's a weird thing though, right? Because one has to, where does one begin? I mean, I've often gotten in trouble in one of these chats for just starting with what I think. And that's, I've learned over and over again that that's not the right thing to do. So not only do we offend our members, but if you remember hashtag what's the deal with Paul Daniels, you know that, if one were to say, what's the deal with X? Well, you're starting a real gang war with the hashtag X group, So what do you guys think? Why don't you guys step into this pit of love?
I have seen Danny Sylvester in person. Actually, I didn't feel like that video was the best representation of his act. I've seen him at the castle and stuff before, where it was a lot better. Maybe in the audience was a lot more into it. AK, they were probably drunker actually. And
let me just say, I bet you the audience was more into it. I think there's just nobody mic'd the audience in that thing, because you didn't hear him laugh at all. At parts, anyone would laugh at.
And when they do flash on the audience in a couple moments in that, you do see that they are enamored with the thing, because to see that act in person, it is something to behold.
It really is.
Living cartoon character for real.
Yeah.
He has he has a giant box that falls on him from above the stage in his show. And it's crazy because it falls on him and he disappears inside of it. And it's like an Acme box.
It's like an Acme safe.
Yeah, it's a safe. That's right. Yeah.
So here's something to talk about. Okay.
Yeah.
The whole thing is triggered off of Best, I think, right? Does everybody know how that works?
Oh, you're talking about the sound.
Are you talking about the thing where we keep buttons on his body, where all of his poses are cued to sound effects?
Which is such an interesting way to go about it, right? Because the other way to go about it would be you'd have to have somebody triggering all those sounds on the moment.
How could you possibly do that?
Couldn't do it.
And he does it in close up. Like he'll hang out at a bar and do those bits. Like he'll be looking at his glass and he'll go. I don't remember seeing the eyeball gag in there.
Yeah.
The tongue thing. And when you're standing 2 feet from him, and he just hits one of those things when he's not coordinating it. So when you're watching it, there's this definite feeling that this guy is wearing a large plate of buttons.
Yes.
And that he's doing that. And it's a little bit weird, despite how inventive it is. But when he just hits you with one of those effects while you're standing there, it's remarkably shocking and magical and weird and absolutely wonderful. Is there anyone who finds watching Dan's act to be, I don't know, do you find that standing in the room with an actual cartoon character crosses the streams of reality and makes you uncomfortable?
Yeah, but I would, from my point of view, because I'm not a guy that got into this, last week we were talking about these guys that produce birds. To me, producing a bird or doing a bird act feels a lot like being a cartoon character. You know what I mean? It's so otherworldly, and you're doing all these things that are so far out of the realm of things that you do for a magic trick normally. You have to care for those animals as if they're your pets. So that level of commitment is the same level of commitment that it is to do this cartoon character act for me. And for me, it just ends up being a case study and like, wow, these are the extremes that people go to create a magic act. You know what I mean?
Isn't the question always like, why the magic? Like, why is this person magic? What power do they hold? Where is the power focused on the wand? Is it focused? There's all those questions that a lot of times we don't care to answer them exactly. Sometimes we say, oh, I just have a lot of clever sleight of hand or whatever it is. But he answered that question in a way that no one else did, right? Which is, I'm a cartoon character, so the safe drops on me.
Is that a question that any bird act has ever answered, ever? I'm curious to know. Is the magic come from the fact that my candelabra creates birds?
Why are the birds, like why is anything happening, right? Like, what is the reason, you know?
I always felt like the best thing you could do with that is we're at a magic show. Now, Dan, you're right. Dan's a cartoon character. It's just a very strange thing. It's incredible and weird and strange, but there's something about it which is challenging to an audience's mind.
Well,
it's not a bad thing.
I was
Ron,
fortunate.
Yeah,
go ahead.
You really have to suspend. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Ron just said in chat, and I think he makes a good point. Ron says in chat, early in his career, the clubs and audiences didn't know what to do with him. It took a while for his act to catch on. And I think that's what Aaron is saying. Like, you don't have a frame of reference for what you're seeing when you're watching that act. And imagine if you were like at the Magic Castle and you're like a night of magic, and if that was the first act you saw, you'd be like, what just happened? Like, is that magic? What is that? Like, it's very difficult to put your finger on quite what that is, you know?
Well, think about this. Where would you book that act, right? Is he gonna come out and do? I guess you could put it anywhere. I guess he probably worked a lot.
Aristocrats.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see. I don't know. Depends. Really.
Marianne, your point
He was working
is really
internationally
well
for a long time.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
Let me just read what Marianne says. An extremely creative and well thought out routine that flows with a funny tagline, best for adult audiences. In the book Sunny Days, Fred Rogers was inspired to create Mr. Rogers because he was disappointed in watching Soupy Sales, right, who encouraged kids to go rob their parents.
Right.
The type of slapstick that was demeaning for children to watch. Adults know not to try and imitate. Yeah. We're all talking about all kinds of different angles of this. We wanted to start with the fact that this is an incredibly intricate. I mean, look, this guy has invested decades of his life in creating this 10 minutes, which is very typical when we talk about a bird act, like we were saying before. Mm-hmm. It's a little less obvious that that's what's happened, hopefully. Mm-hmm. And I guess there's something about magic that when it is apparent to you that you're looking at a person who has, in fact, there's something about it that reads that a whole life of other stuff was abdicated to put all of that energy into this 10 minutes. There's something about that reads to the audience. And it's a strange, I mean, I would say it goes further than being an extremely well thought act.
Mm-hmm.
But the question about, like, creating your character in magic, like, we can't fault Danny for doing and going in that direction, because this is exactly what he did. I mean, he found his niche. He found something that no one could have ever done. And he did truly find a very unique character for himself, literally a cartoon character. And so we say it's the extreme example of choosing a character for yourself, because it doesn't have to be that on the nose or anything like that. But the truth is that he did take it to the extreme, and he rocks it.
And in a sense, it's not even a character for your magic. It's literally a collection of gesture.
And I think another thing that comes with that is that it being a cartoon character, the character's so blown out, the proportions and what that is to a real person. Because of that, he has a lot of permission to do effects that are just way off the beaten path, because it's stuff that you're basically trying to illustrate what a cartoon character is in real life. And that's the parameters. The effects just get bigger. So I got to hang out with the guy at a convention once, because the next thing we're going to get into, it blew my mind, and I needed to talk about it with the guy. And I asked him about the cartoon character stuff as well. And one of my questions to him was, how do you even work out an act like that? Like, how do you get in front of people and do this thing? And he had a fortunate gig where he worked in LA, at this dentist complex where they had like, it's like 15 or 20 dentists all in this giant office building, and they share this giant common area. And there's all these little alcoves within this common area. And Danny could go and wander and do walk around magic for 8 hours straight. Right?
And he got paid for this gig?
And he got paid for this gig. And at the end of the day, he would go, okay, so this is what I worked out today. And he started to look at, what do I want to work out tomorrow? Because I'm going to be there for 8 hours. What are the effects I want to work out? And he started to just, you know, he had this germ of an idea of being a cartoon character, but had this basically like a workshop where he could go, you know, try these ideas out. And he's a very skilled artist. I don't know if anyone's seen any of his art. He draws like comic book art. Like it looks like he's a comic, like he should be getting paid to do comic book art. But that carries over to all aspects of his life. He's just like, he's a really creative guy. He's a very artistic guy. And he makes all those props that we saw. He makes those by hand. I mean, you don't buy those things anywhere. He makes everything by hand, and everything is done in a very painstaking way so that he can get the best thing out of it. And if it's not right, he tears it down and builds it up again. And, you know, it's very inspiring, that's for sure.
You know, I have to say, here's the other side of, we can't just leave it at that either with Sylvester the Jester, because there's another side to him. He's actually also, besides this, like this art, this very high artistic like act that he does that's so specialized, he also has been involved with a ton of great magic that's been released out on the market, stuff that is way more mainstream and stuff that is really well thought and great. And so we wanted to show you because, you know, we want to show you this next video, not just so you don't always have to be your character, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So you can create a character for yourself in magic, and that can live as a 10-minute snapshot of what you do. And that's what Dan has managed to do, because he's managed to be very prolific in magic and not always be completely attached to that one character. So we want to show you this next video, and this is all about the Sylvester pitch, okay? And
to be fair to Dan, he does just sort of turn down the volume on being a cartoon character, because it's, the elements are all still here in this. It's just not as overt as it is in the stage act.
Yeah. So check this out. This stuff will blow your mind. This is amazing, amazing magic right here.
Whoa. Allow me to introduce myself. Sylvester the Jester, at your service. And now it's time for a little close-up. That's not exactly what I have in mind. I'm okay. Thank you. Back to normal. Well, if you like that, you know, you better chook this food. Oh, I'm okay. Well, now it's time for this close-up stuff I was talking about a little earlier. Oh, keep back there with the cameras. We're not going to do that gag again. No, now it's time to do some serious sleight-of-hand magic. How about a little bit of coin magic? Maybe silver dollars from somebody's ear. Haven't got an ear, so I'll use this guy. What's that in your ear, sir? Oh no, it's just earwax. That's pretty gross too. Actually, that's not what I had in mind. What I had in mind is more like this. Now watch. I'm gonna take that. I'll put that baby right here in my pocket, just like that. Look, there's another one. Watch, it's like money from the air. Look, right. There's another one. I'm gonna put that one in my pocket too. Another one right there. I heard it come. There's one more right there. Now watch. It almost looks like I take the money, put it in my pocket there, and it comes right back to my hand almost as quickly as it's gone. Another one. Another one. Hey, I better roll up my sleeves here. It looks like I could be cheating. Here's another one, and another one. Those go in my pocket. Here's two more over there. What the heck's going on here? This guy's got a lot of money, that's for sure. Look, and there's one right there in front of the camera. Let me put those guys in my... Oh, here's a few more right there. Another, and one more right there. Watch. Let me do it this way for you. Looks like I have a whole handful, doesn't it? Okay, how much of you? Hey, here's something. Take a whole bunch of coins like this. Observe. that one right there. Oh, gosh. The man is made of money. Let's do something really crazy, huh? How about this? Money right through the hand. Ah! Oh, God, does that hurt. Let me just reach out there and grab another one. I want to do that trick again. I liked it. But this time, maybe with somebody else's hand. Oh, Mr. Hand. Okay, that's practical jokers on the set. No, give me your real hand, you jerk. Smart man. What? And now right through the hand, a la peanut butter sandwiches. Yeah. Now let's do something else. How about the vanishing coin onto the end of the nose? Here it goes. Very hard one. You see it there? On the end of my nose. See it? I don't see it in the camera there in the monitor. Guess it's. Let me check. Aha! Oh, yeah. But these are train coins. That's how the trick is done. Watch. Up, boy. Up. Look at that. He's trained. Here, Mr. Hand again. Come back here, boy. You check it out. It's a train coin. Check it out. Oh, he doesn't like you. Try again. Psych. Okay, what the? Well, let's get rid of this stuff. We'll do something like this. Hey, little girl, what is that in your ear? And you reach out and you grab one of these. A big penny like that. Now, I know what you're thinking. We edited the film and stuck that in there, but I'll prove it. Look at that. There's a big nickel down. There goes that big penny on the floor. But even this is not enough. Watch. I'll do something really crazy with this nickel. Keep your eye on the coin right there. Look at that, a big steel nut. Huh. That's real, too.
It felt like it was just, I know, you don't really know, like, what's going on here? He can literally stand there and do that stuff all night, right? He can just keep going. Stuff after handfuls of coins. You know,
it becomes other stuff. Eventually it's what's in his pockets. It becomes his phone, it becomes his keys, right? And that bolt, just so you know, that bolt is like the bolt that is screwed into like the light post out on the street outside your house. It's like a big giant bolt. And when that thing hits the floor, you feel it hit the floor from like 5-6 feet away because it's such a big hunk of metal. You know what I mean? It's really, the whole thing is just a eye popper.
I mean, and the thing that was so great too is it just kind of felt like he was riffing, and he probably was on some level, but it was so immediate, like in the moment, just like, you know, it didn't feel like a routine per se, you know, more like just riffing.
It's almost like modules, right?
Pardon me?
Is there a formal version of it that has a beginning or an end?
I've never seen it.
Yeah, it's modular, right? So he can riff with the thing and go in a different direction and repeat a module, or, you know, stretch a module, that kind of thing.
That's exactly.
So did he do a few of those modules like 3 times in a row in that?
It was that what we just watched is pretty much what the sequence of the routine is, with it extended for this version of the routine from the previous release of it. I must admit that when I was talking about meeting him at a convention, I was there to see this and watch him do it. And he was very kind to me and let me just follow him around at this convention. And I probably saw him do the thing like a dozen times. And, he just, all right, now stand here. This is the best view to see all the stuff you're after, like that.
It's impeccable timing, isn't it, Alex?
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah. And there's another thing that's going on. He said that he was able to isolate it with a scientist, and it has to do with the shiny object. Your eyes are only going to see the shiny object, because that item being secretly loaded, or the items being secretly loaded into the hand as you're getting rid of something. There's something about that shiny object. It's like lizard brain level of the way your mind works. You know what I mean? It's like the basic level of human interaction with the world. The shiny object is what's going to get the attention so you don't get killed, kind of a thing, right? And because of that, it's cheating that, and you're only seeing that one coin rather than the other objects.
I'm not sure that folks watching this would have any reason to have any clue what we're talking about when we talk about the method to that, because I think a lot of it is indistinguishable. I mean, no one has any idea where the coin.
Let's ask. Let's ask Aaron. I'm interested to put a 1 in chat if you were completely like blown away at what he was doing. If you don't have any idea, what method he was using to make all those coins appear.
Like where that pile of coins kept coming from.
Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, good. Yeah, so you're right. There's definitely some people who aren't familiar. Of course, we've all been familiar with Sylvester the Jester, with Dan for 20 plus years. So we are intimately well acquainted with his stuff. Yeah, you're right, Gary. Greg Wilson does love that move as well. He sure does. And, you know, it's a shame they called it the Sylvester pitch, because I feel like it almost gives away the method. But that's another story. I want to know, though, Alex, when you hung out with him, what did you ask him about, like, creation of his character? What did he talk about, how that came about?
It was ideas. All of it was like abstract ideas, but it was all contributing to this, that one overarching idea of, I'm going to be a human cartoon character, right? It started out with a couple of sound effects, right? That vest that you're speaking of, in the beginning, it was a button or two. And he was able to make cartoon-like things happen. And with that gig that he's doing for 8-hour stretches, he's able to, you know, bring in ideas and work them out to the nth degree, and then, you know, basically set them down and have them be a working piece until a new idea is introduced. But it all was contributing to this idea of creating that stage act. And with the stage act, you have a stage, you have a bag of goodies that you can work from, and a separation with the audience. And that was when he was able to get some of those bigger effects to happen. But for instance, there's an effect that he told me about that's not in this version of the act. I picked a shorter version of the act on purpose so that we could talk about the close-up act as well. But there's a moment where he's holding like a target in front of him, and it looks like arrows are being shot at him. And that's literally from a movie. I think it might be Blazing Saddles, but there's a moment where the priest is speaking and trying to calm everyone down, and arrows shoot into the Bible and they nail him in the chest. And he just, you know, thought that was such a funny moment. He's like, you know, that's a moment that a cartoon character would have to deal with. You know, if he's standing in front of people, like, he's going to get heckled, you know, and he's going to stand in front of the audience and hold up a target and go, come on, you guys, you be nicer to me. And then boom, boom. And those arrows come and hit him. You know, that's a moment that a cartoon character would go through, but it was inspired by something that happened in a movie that he then morphed into. What would this cartoon character go through if something like that happened? So a lot of it, it seemed to me, when he would give me examples like that, it seemed to be like abstract ideas that he would then just say, what if this, right? And just never had any rules, because he was a cartoon character. There was, you know, rules are out the window, right? Because I'm trying to duplicate what can be animated in real life. So it's, you know, it changes the rules of the game.
You have to be a little bit insane to be able to come up with that. I mean, like, to be able to even think that.
Yeah. You're skating on the edge of it, maybe.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I have mad respect for the guy that he actually pulls that off and managed to come up with so many creative different ways to do that on stage. Because think about it, it's like, Steve, if somebody came up to you and was like, hey, I saw a magician the other day do the most amazing thing, and you were like, oh, what did he do? And he was like, he grabbed his tongue and he pulled it all the way down almost to the floor and let it go, and it snapped back in his mouth. Wouldn't you be intrigued?
Yeah.
Right? If you didn't know what that was.
Right.
Right? Think about this. If somebody was like, dude, I saw this magician take, and he stuck flypaper to his face and ripped his whole face off, and then his face was talking on the piece of paper. You'd be like, wait, what?
You saw this on TV? That's what you would say, right?
This isn't a cartoon, right?
It's on TV, right?
Right. And so Mystic says it well. The line between genius and insanity, I mean, the stuff is insane and genius, and the stuff is taken as great creations of magic. It should be, because they are. You know, it's just like, I guess whether or not the character fits your taste is what it comes down to at the end of the day.
You know what I really appreciate about it is the mad scientist aspect of it. You know what I mean? Because it's more than the character, it's all that. He's the mad scientist that made all these things up. There's a few guys that are like that. I think another guy's Eric Buss, has that mad scientist gene. Where, like,
James too.
What's that?
Kevin James has that a little
Kevin
bit.
James has that same mad scientist.
Him and Kevin are bros, so that makes sense. You know, those like minds found each other.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, the thing that we kind of throw off. Oh, he has these buttons and stuff. He designed all that. He made all that work. He figured out how to, you know, that's a whole nother part of it. You know, you can't just buy that.
Plus,
Rudy-
every effect that you saw has some intricate thing that's going on there. None of it's simple. All of it's got moving parts, and all of those parts had to be built. All of those parts had to be created and thought up and then brought into the world. You know, it's really something.
Somebody mentioned Rudy Kobe, right?
Yeah.
And that's pretty interesting because that my initial thought was, hey man, this is like actually a whole vein of magic of itself, right? Because Rudy Kobe fits in there, Sylvester the Jester, a lot of Kevin James stuff. I mean, the thing with Arturo and he puts him in the box and the head rolls and all that. I mean, that's, you know, and the body that comes out on the table, just the legs walking and stuff. Who else fits in there, I wonder, though? There was someone else we just said. I can't remember.
I think if you stretch it far enough, probably even Tom Mullica, right? That feels a lot like that just because of the nature of that cigarette thing that he's doing. You know, it feels a very cartoon character to me.
Yeah, you're right. I can see that.
Malone has elements of that. And
Malone has elements of it. Totally.
Both
Newell says Woody Pittman, rest his soul. Yeah, Woody Pittman definitely had sort of a cartoonish thing going on in his act.
Certainly.
It's kind of crazy, but you know, I guess you're right. I mean, Rudy Kobe is probably as close as I can think of to, you know, to Sylvester the Jester. But, you know, at the end of the day, like, not to lose sight of like kind of what the topic of today was, like, it is a good lesson to watch those sorts of acts. And we would encourage you to look up Rudy Kobe, look up Kevin James, watch their performances, because they all have a different take on what a character means on stage and how they're going to present that and how they pulled that off and how it developed over the years. And some of them have been wildly successful, and some you've never even heard of, some people that have done some really great character type stage stuff. But at the end of the day, you know, Danny Sylvester always stands out as like the epitome of that to me, you know.
He
definitely pushed it the furthest. Sorry.
He's definitely a creative genius. And, you know, there's so many aspects of magic. There's the act, there's a character, there's invention, there's method, there's effect. I mean, Danny is so beloved by so many magicians because of that character, but because there's so many truly original effects that he found original, real methods for doing cartoon effects in the actual world with a living person. No one's ever really seen anything like it, you know? And so we can say some people are in this various aspects of it, but he's a genuine original.
Mm-hmm. No one else could do that act.
Yep, one of a kind, no doubt.
I think, you know, somebody, Kendall asked, would Tony Chapek be in that category? And I think. See
that guy that interacts with the television and stuff comes in and out? He totally is in that same category. That's a great thing.
I've seen that act several times. It's really.
Is it as stunning live as it seems? Like, I've only seen video of it.
Oh, I've seen it in a like smallish convention banquet room.
And it kills, right?
And it's pretty impressive, man.
Yeah, it's got to. It's really cool. I thought that act was really fun.
Like, he's doing that right here. Holy man.
I mean, look, I've got the sound off, but this is Tony Chapek. I mean, look at this stuff. Like, he interacts with the television.
Whoa,
great, right? That's totally great.
What?
It's totally neat.
It's really great. You know, it's really great.
Really creative.
You know, in a certain sense, maybe Bizarre Magic is probably along those same lines. Like, you know, some of Eugene's pieces feel like they could almost be cartoonish. You know, it's definitely pushing the limits of like reality.
I think,
but I guess in a spooky way.
Yeah, it's more like a graphic novelist.
Yeah, it's like all different parts, you know, fit into it in different ways. You know, Bizarro, someone mentioned him. He's another one that's in that kind of same.
Yeah, he's got stuff like that. Totally.